Welcome, everybody. We're about to get started here to winning the challenge for life. I saw some of you in the office today and happy to see some of you on here now. So we'll give a few people a chance to get on and then we'll get rolling in just a minute. Tony, I am making you a co-host. So if you want to unmute yourself,
I
you
am.
don't, yeah, whenever you're going to talk. Yeah, that's awesome. So you are now a co-host.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. That's awesome. Thanks. Tony's going to have some great input for you guys here as well. So I'm excited for that. And again, we will get started in just a couple of minutes. We'll get rolling. So again, welcome. This is Winning the Challenge for Life. If you're at the workshop on the 20th, which is the New Year Nutrition, we talked about the 30-day advance plan, how to do that, how to stick to it, how to stick to it long term, and then how to take it to the next level in terms of your nutrition. We will get that rolling here in just a second. Let's see how many people we got. All right, we'll get going in just a sec here, guys. Got a few more people joining here, so let's give it another couple of minutes and we will get rolling. We'll probably do 45 minutes tonight, I'm thinking, and we'll have some questions. You can do questions in the chat. So if you look in the chat box down there, you can type questions and we will monitor that. Tony, you should be able to monitor that too. So maybe while I'm presenting some of it, you can start looking for questions in the chat. On the bottom, you should be able to see that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it'll pop up. So if you guys have questions there, you can just type anything you want in the chat. So, and everybody can see those as well. So I just did that right there.
And I am testing just to, okay. Yep. It works.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, so it's a
Awesome.
great way if I bring something up or Tony brings something up and you have a question for it, just fire that in the chat and we will make sure we we get it rocking and rolling. All right, about one more minute and we will get going. All right. All right, gang. So this is called Winning the Challenge for Life. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I know we'll have some more people join as they get going. So the whole point to this is that we want you to win the challenge for life because it's not something that we want you doing for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Is you really want to figure out how to do the things that we teach, these 5 essentials, working with your nutrition, working with your sleep and your stress, working with your exercise, minimizing toxins, taking care of your nervous system. You want to do that stuff for how long? You want to do it for the rest of your life. This is not a treatment, it's a lifestyle. So I want to give you some tips and tricks on how to make that happen tonight. So when we discussed it and you're at the workshop, we talked about the actual advanced nutrition plan, and I'm going to give you just some rules of the advanced healing diet or the advanced nutrition plan. The first one is making a commitment, right? So if you haven't been doing this so far and you're ready to dive in, be honest with yourself about your weaknesses. Like I know I have a weakness for chocolate and ice cream, and I need to have a way of dealing with that. Number 2, read all labels on everything that you buy and eat. We're going to be discussing food labels today, so you can get rid of the sugar, which is the primary problem for most people. We want to remove temptations from your house. So when we're ready to do this, like we throw all the other junk away, because if you have Oreos sitting there, even if they're on the top shelf in the kitchen, you will find them. So this isn't my 6 plan rules. This is from a patient who lost 100 pounds. So she said, we literally threw out everything in the kitchen that had sugar or grains. It left us with a barren kitchen, but the temptation wasn't there, so we couldn't fall victim to it. This, again, she stuck with this for a year and lost 100 pounds. Got over her diabetes, got over her rheumatoid arthritis. Just amazing things happen. Stock the kitchen with advanced healing diet friendly snacks, which I'm going to show you some snacks and some simple hacks that you can do. Plan your diets, your healing diet meals for or advanced healing diet meals for the week. We're going to show you how to do that, what planning and preparation looks like. And I think another great one here is use an accountability partner. So who can help you stick with this thing as things get hard, helps keep you from cheating. So that's coming from someone who lost 100 pounds doing this. So that's all good advice. And that's basically what I'm going to use as a template for tonight. So one thing that she talked about there is reading food labels. Okay. So we want you to become a food label ninja. Okay. So a food label ninja is somebody who can look at look at the things that you're eating and understand how to change the things that you're putting into your cart and putting into your house as well. So the way that we do that is there's three things that we want you to start looking at. The overarching thing is the less ingredients, the better. Okay. So the less ingredients, the better. If you're reading anything and it has 10 ingredients and another thing has 2 ingredients, the 2 ingredients is almost always going to be better. Okay. So, but there are 3 things that we want you to start looking for when it comes to reading food labels. Number 1, sugar and serving size. I want you to see how much sugar is in it and then how many serving sizes there are. So a good rule of thumb moving forward. So remember we talked about on that Saturday on the 20th, we said, how long do you do the advanced nutrition or the advanced healing diet? You do it until you are what? Healed. So if you've been doing this for 30 days now, it's about 30 days into it, but a little bit less. If you've been doing this for 30 days and you're over your diabetes or your blood sugars or your blood pressure is normalized or you've lost the 20 pounds that you want or 10 pounds that you want, then you can start looking at, okay, how can I incorporate some other foods into my diet, right? So how can I start to eat more fruits and vegetables? How can I eat, things that might have a tiny bit of sugar, but not a lot? But if you haven't been healed yet, if you haven't lost the weight that you want, if you haven't gotten your blood sugar under control, your triglycerides, your cholesterol, guess what? You keep doing the advanced healing plan or advanced healing diet. You keep doing that 30 days. Go back and repeat it and do it again. So that's the way to look at this. Now, once you have healed, that's what this workshop is going to be largely about, is what do we do moving forward? So the first thing that we want to look for is sugar and serving size. So how much sugar is in there and how many serving sizes are there, right? How much sugar and then how many serving sizes. So what we're going to do here is start having you understand the amount of sugar that you want in any single one, bar that you have or any, cracker that you eat or anything else. We want those sugar grams to be single digits. Okay. So single digit serving size. You never want to eat something that has 10 or more grams of sugar in it per serving size. And this is just a good rule of thumb. All right. So sugar and serving size is the first thing we look for. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a minute. Number 2 is we're going to look at the type of fats that are in there, because there's a million things you can read on a food label. We want you to start looking for bad fats. Okay. Those are going to be rancid vegetable oils, rancid seed oils, canola oil, partially hydrogenated oil, all the junky oils that make you sick. We're going to look for those. And then we're also going to look at toxins. And the way to look at your toxins are going to be primarily anything that has a number sign in it, right? So yellow number 5, blue number 6, yellow number or red number 20. Any of those things are terrible for you. They've been linked to ADHD in kids, migraines and adults. Red number 20 has been linked to cancer in children and adults. So anything that has that in it, or anything that says high fructose corn syrup or partially hydrogenated oil, we'll show you all of those in a second. So sugar and serving size, fats and toxins. If you scan it for that, if you read the food labels and scan for those things, you're generally going to make good choices and you're going to be in good shape. Okay. So what does that look like? So let's look at this as a Clif Bar. Okay. So when you look at a Clif Bar, there's a ton of stuff you can look at, right? You can look at all of this up here. You can look at the potassium, you can look at the total carbohydrates, the sugar, you can look at the monounsaturated fat and the polyunsaturated fat. But I want you to dial that in and start looking at sugar and serving size. We're going to look for the type of fats that are in there, and then we're going to look for toxins. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is sugar grams. How many grams of sugar are in this Clif Bar? 22 grams of sugar. You should have no more than 35 grams of sugar per day. This Clif Bar gets you almost all the sugar you should have in a day. So this is going to be a no. You would put this one back, right? How many serving sizes? 1 serving size. So it's 22 grams of sugar per bar if you eat this. The first ingredient in there is organic brown rice syrup, which is sugar. Okay. This is highly processed, not something that's good for you. Organic rolled oats, but wait, Dr. Eric, it says organic. Well, organic cane syrup, that's just sugar, right? So there's sugar and then there's sugar again. And then you have soy protein isolate, which is junky processed, protein that's in there. So I want to avoid that. But if you just look at sugar, you could put that out back and you wouldn't even have to read the rest of them. We're going to look for bad fats. Okay. So organic sunflower oil, sunflower and safflower oil are rancid oils, seed oils, which cause inflammation in most people. So the oils that we would want to be eating in here would be things like avocado oil, right? That would be a really good one. Olive oil, coconut oil, those would be the ones that you do want to eat, not sunflower or safflower oil. And then also, are there any like dollar signs in there, or not so dollar signs, sorry, hashtags in there like number signs? I don't see any yellow number 5 or blue number 20 or anything like that, but I do see too much sugar and bad fats. So I'm going to put that one back and try to grab another one. If you really want to get at this, you can go into Sprouts or Natural Grocers and just spend 30 minutes and look at the bars in there, and you'll get really good at reading food labels, because a lot of the bars are junky. You can find some that are good, but you have to use the 3 rules that we just talked about. Another one. So we talked about sugar and serving size, right? So this is Alexander's Real Peach All Natural Peach Tea. How many grams of sugar? 24. You should have no more than 35 grams per day, right? You're getting almost all of that. But here's the way they trick you too. How many grams how many serving sizes are in this little peach bottle right here? 2. So if you drink this whole bottle, how many grams of sugar are you getting? 24 times 2, you're getting 48 grams of sugar, which is more than anybody should have in an entire day. So you don't want to drink calories. You want to avoid drinking calories, putting this back and drinking something like water, or like Amy made the advanced plan the other day in the office for our patient appreciation week. She made the advanced plan lemonade. You could have that. You could have vitamin water zero, which is sweetened with erythritol instead. So a lot of other things to do rather than just all of this sugar, right? So we want to look for sugar, sugar and serving size. We want to look for bad fats, and then we want to look for any type of toxin that's in there as well. So that would be like red number 40, blue number 20, or red number 20, blue number 5, yellow number 5, any of those. Okay, so that's first thing, is reading food labels. Okay, and if you want more information on how to do this, I'm doing a whole workshop coming up here on this. It's called Winning in the Kitchen. So I'm going to take this a lot more in detail. I'm going to do this in person. It's coming up on Saturday, February 24th. So coming up this week at 1:30 p.m. We're going to do it at Orange Theory Fitness Southlands. If you want to come to that, I'm going to go through food label reading. We're going to go through how to shop and how to actually find these things in the store. This is a phenomenal way to just get your skill power working, not willpower, but skill power. So if you want to join us for that, February 24th at 1:00, you just need to tell the office that you're coming. We need to make sure that we know. So the next time you're in this week, you can sign up for that at the front desk. You can also call the office and let Alice or Amy know that you want to come to it, and we'd be happy to get you on the schedule and do that. If you also want to put in the chat that you want to come, just say Winning in the Kitchen, and we'll get you registered for that as well. So just to make sure you can pick up where we left off there. Okay. So now, what are some things that you could start looking for that are going to be good alternative plans or alternative products that you can use? And let's use this instead of this. So one good one that I use, I'm actually going to have this in a few minutes when I'm done here. My son wanted to have sandwiches tonight, a certain type of sandwich. I'm not eating bread. So what I'm going to use as my sandwich buns are these Plant Power cauliflower sandwich thins. So they're just like kind of like a hamburger bun, but they're made with what? Cauliflower. Okay. They have 1 gram of carbohydrates. Now, here's the issue. The reason we're talking about carbohydrates with the advanced plan, and why I try to limit my carbohydrates in general, is especially processed carbohydrates. Carbohydrates cause inflammation. The processed carbs cause inflammation. So we talked about sugar and anything that turns to sugar. So if you're trying to overcome diabetes, you want to get rid of those carbohydrates. You want to reduce your carbohydrates. If you're trying to overcome weight loss resistance, you want to reduce your carbohydrates. Now, why? If you remember what weight loss resistance does, is it the C-reactive protein from the inflammation in your body binds leptin, and leptin can't tell your body to burn fat. Well, where does that C-reactive protein come from? Inflammation. Inflammation largely from a lot of processed carbohydrates. So if I took just hamburger buns, that would be about 30 grams of carbohydrates. But since this is made from cauliflower, it's 1 gram of carbohydrates, right? So this is outer aisle. You can get all this stuff at Natural Grocers. We're going to do a shop with the doc coming up here soon. Dr. Ryan's going to take everybody over there and show them how to actually find these things at Natural Grocers. So that's one place to do it. Now, another one, this is something I started doing recently. Instead of linguine, which would have about 30 grams of carbohydrates, again, processed carbohydrates. This has 4 grams of carbohydrates, and it's made from hearts of palm. This is the closest to actual to something that tastes like pasta of any pasta substitute that I've seen. I've used it a lot. We made lasagna with it the other night. It was phenomenal. It's called palmini, and this is hearts of palm angel hair. You can get this at King Soopers. You can get this at Walmart. It's about $4. So yes, it's instead of $2 for the pasta, it's $4 for this. But again, as I've always said, if you think health is expensive, try sickness from eating, regular white flour pasta, all the inflammation that's causing, not causing any of this, and you're all getting 4 grams of carbs instead of 30. So a big thing there. And then like somebody asked me about like mayonnaise, what would be a good mayonnaise substitute instead? This would be a really good one over here. And so where are we at here? So this is avocado oil mayonnaise. Okay. So instead of what would be the bad fat, again, if we're reading this, if we're reading the sugars, fats, and toxins, how many grams of sugar are in here? 0. So it passes the sugar test, right? Let's look at for bad fats. The first bad fat in mayonnaise would be canola oil. And there's not canola oil. What is there here? Avocado oil, right? Egg yolks. So we're good to go. Is there any toxins in there? Any artificial colorings? 0. So this is approved. You're good to go. You can put this on your turkey sandwich when you're eating this, right? So instead of Miracle Whip or whatever, we're going to use avocado oil mayonnaise, and you're not getting any of those inflammatory bad fats that we're worried about. So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions on that, again, you can put those in the chat as well. So any of those, you can go ahead and join those. Okay. So now we're going to move on to, sorry guys, a couple other things that you can do like for breakfast. So one of my go-tos in the morning is going to be paleo toaster waffles, Birch Benders. You can get these at King Soopers. You can get them at Target. No gluten or grains. These are dairy-free, grain-free. Okay. I'll get to dairy in a little while when we talk about the testing that Tony does. But these are paleo, right? So paleo is a pretty good substitute for the advanced plan. So paleo is basically no sugar, no grains, none of the processed carbohydrates. And these are made with cassava flour. Carbohydrates are lower, also don't have the inflammatory effects of the processed grains. So what I put on there, usually almond butter in the morning, and then I'll use this Lakanto maple syrup made with what? Monk fruit. How many grams of sugar? 0 sugar. Net carbohydrates 1. If I use the same amount of regular maple syrup, it would be 20 or 30 grams of carbohydrates. I'm only getting 1 gram of carbohydrates, right? And then if you want to put something on there, which I do quite a bit, strawberry jam, no sugar added, right? So they don't do any sugar. It's sweetened with stevia. So if you read anything that says keto or keto approved, that's generally going to mean they use some type of alternative sweetener, which is going to be much better than regular sugar. All right. So these are things, and this is something I eat almost every day. I either do this or eggs, and I'll show you what a typical day for me looks like in just a couple of minutes. Okay. Another couple ones. These are go-tos for me. Siete tortillas. Again, you can get these at King Soopers, also on Amazon since they bought Whole Foods. So Siete tortillas, grain-free tortilla chips. So what are we going to look for on there? We're going to look for sugar. There's no sugar added. We're going to look for bad fats. What would the bad fats be for tortilla chips? What are they fried in? Typically, it's going to be fried in something like, again, like canola oil, corn oil, or vegetable oil. Those are all inflammatory fats. But what these are actually fried in or used in is avocado oil. And avocado oil is on the thumbs up list, right? So I use these a lot. We'll eat these with guacamole. We'll use these for, chips and salsa. You can make nachos, anything, but these Siete tortilla chips are great. They also make Siete tortillas, which you can use for like tacos, and they have almond flour, they have cassava flour, they have garbanzo bean flour, and those are all no grain flours, right? So that's what we want there. And then another one, if you have any type of sweet tooth like I do, Lily's, okay, Lily's chocolate. These are kind of like Milk Duds. How many grams of sugar? 1 gram. If you ate a serving of Milk Duds, it would be probably 15 to 20 grams versus 1 gram, and it's sweetened with what? Stevia. So you guys are starting to see, like, looking at these products and finding these products. You don't have to make everything all on your own. You can have some of these quick and easy things. Like a lot of times I'll eat the Siete tortilla chips with hummus. And usually I'll get the Falafel King hummus that uses olive oil rather than canola oil, no sugar, really good. So you can do these things, and these things work in a pinch. Okay. Now, I wanted to discuss this vacation meals. Again, if you guys have any questions on anything that I'm talking about, you can go ahead and just type that in the chat. Right here. So questions here, I'll type it in.
Nothing yet.
Yep, cool. So any questions that you have right there. So hopefully you're taking some of these down, and these are some good things that you can get in your grocery cart the next time you're there. I want to talk about vacation meals for a minute, because here's the thing I think with your mindset. We're going to talk about mindset quite a bit here in the next few minutes. First thing with mindset, if you tell me that I can never have a piece of pizza again, I am not going to be happy, and I'm probably going to only want pizza, right? If you could tell me I could never have another piece of cheesecake again, I don't know that I would go with that. If you told me I could never have another Diet Coke, I don't care about that. I do care about pizza, however. That's one of my favorite things on planet Earth. Now, I know I can't eat pizza all the time or I won't be healthy. I know I can't eat pizza on a regular basis or I won't be healthy. I know that pizza actually is not even good for me. Like, I know I have an issue with gluten because of the test that Tony did with me with most forms of dairy. So I know it's even not good for me. But I'm going to do it sometimes, and I'm going to do that on what's called a vacation meal, or even better, I like calling it going rogue. So going rogue means, hey, I'm not doing what I taught you to do for the advanced plan. For this meal, I'm going to go eat what I want. I'm going to go eat the pizza. I'm going to have a beer with it or whatever, and I'm going to have cheesecake, because I'm going rogue. And going rogue means I'm doing it on purpose. I know what I'm doing. I'm not doing it because I'm weak. I'm not doing it because I'm off the wagon. I'm doing it because I know I want that. And if I don't eat it sometimes, that's all I'm going to ever want, right? So what I do is I plan these vacation meals in to where a couple or a few times a week, I can eat whatever I want. And it helps me stay on track, because then I'm not like sad because I can't have pizza ever again. I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm going to go have pizza. I just actually did this on Saturday for lunch with my son. We went to our favorite pizza place, Lubo's, around here. We had pizza. It was fantastic. And I haven't had it since, right? It doesn't mean I'm off the wagon. So the thing with vacation meals is for me, I plan 3 of these per week. So if I eat 5 times a day, which I do, I'll do breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner typically. That's 5 meals. If I, times 7 is 35 a week. I can do 3 of those as vacation meals, and I'm still eating really well, 92% of the time. And that works for me, because I wouldn't be good if I could never have that stuff again. So the thing here is it has to be planned. These vacation meals have to be planned, just like vacation for work. You can't go in Monday and be like, yeah, I'm taking my 2 weeks off. See you later. Sorry about this project I didn't do. You have to plan it, right? So the same thing with this. You want to plan it, and it doesn't wreck your diet, because this isn't a diet. It doesn't make you fall off the wagon. It doesn't give you permission to eat whatever you want now. You just go, okay, for this meal, I'm going rogue. So for me, I'll try to do that once, like on a Sunday, I'll look at it, go, where are my vacation meals going to be? My wife and I had our anniversary this week, 24 years. We went out to Eddie V's last weekend. I think this was on Friday. Yeah. And sat down, ate whatever I wanted, still ate pretty well, actually, but wasn't advanced plan approved. I still ate stuff I probably shouldn't have, had more sugar than I should have, had some dessert. And that was a vacation meal for me. And then I had another vacation meal on Saturday at lunch, because I wanted to go out with my son. But Saturday at breakfast, I had a great meal. Saturday at dinner, I had a great meal. Friday at lunch, I had a great meal that was approved with what I'm talking about. So those were planned. And as I'm looking forward to that, I'm like, oh, I don't need to worry about pizza right now. I'm going to get to eat that on Friday, or on Saturday. That really helps my mindset. So hopefully that makes sense into why you would want to do those, and what you would want to do with those. So plan those in. Take 3 meals a week and start planning those vacation meals in. And the rest of the time, you're going to eat what you know you should eat. Okay. Awesome. Tony, any questions so far as we keep it going here?
No questions, but I do want to throw something in really badly. So
Let's
when
do
we're
it.
when we're talking about things to avoid, label reading, I definitely want, I'm going to bring up fiber because I always do.
Yeah, that's good.
A really good rule of thumb. So this is literally a super easy calculation. You look at the carbs, you look at the fiber, you divide the carbs by the fiber, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's more than 5, put it back on the shelf. Or
so if there's 20 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fiber, that would be what? 2? No, 10, right? Yeah. 2.
That would
yes,
be 2.
2. Yeah, 2.
Great. Under 5,
so you're good.
put it in the cart. Unless you're vacation mealing and you're like, I'm splurging, and that's okay.
What if it's 40 grams of carb, 1 gram of fiber?
No.
Put it back, right?
That is like not even You don't even need a calculator for that.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason for that is why? Why do people want to have the fiber in there?
Fiber is literally the most anti-inflammatory nutrient known ever, right, to
Mhm,
exist. I mean, fiber is good for everything. Fiber is good
mhm.
for keeping regular. Fiber is good for keeping you pro-inflammatory, the state,
Mhm.
right, of you being. Fiber is good for everything.
Yep.
And it keeps you bulky, it keeps you regular, it keeps you everything, right?
Yep.
Fiber is truly, if you're going to count something, we're so obsessed with counting calories and
Yeah.
sugar, count fiber grams.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't meet that criteria, put it back on the shelf on a
Yep.
regular with your regular shopping. That's all.
That's awesome. And that also slows down any uptake of sugar, right? So if something does have sugar and
Absolutely.
also has fiber, it slows down that inflammatory response of sugar. It
Exactly.
slows down the
Like,
insulin spike. It slows down all of those. So we always
exactly.
talk about food by God versus food by man. Food by God has a lot of fiber. Food by man does not.
That's why
Pretty simple.
fruit, a piece of fruit is good, right?
Yep. Yep.
And sugar without the fruit is not good. The fiber slows everything down. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Trying to think if I want to go into this. Let me spend just a minute on this, and then Tony will get into these strengths. This is Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's one of the best things I've seen on time management ever. It's been around forever, but it works really well. So he talks about these 4 quadrants. Okay, so we have the important and urgent, right? We have the important, non-urgent. We have the urgent, non-important, and we have the non-important or urgent. Okay, so where you want to be living a lot of life is in this right here, which is the important, non-urgent. So important and urgent are the things that demand your attention right away. That's like treating disease. You have a heart attack, that's important and urgent. But the reason you have that heart attack is you probably neglected this quadrant over here, which was planning and preparation, critical thinking, like all of those things. So, like, if you're always too busy to prepare your food, too busy to eat well, too busy to exercise, that stuff's not urgent, right? So, no one's ever going to be beating on your door saying, "Hey, go plan your meals or go to the gym," right? But because you didn't do those things, you didn't plan those meals, you didn't go to the gym, you could be laying on a gurney having your chest cracked open, having to deal with this focus right here, right? Or this urgent putting out of the fires. So we're going to talk about in a few minutes, like, how do we spend time on things that are important but they're not urgent, which means you have to pay attention to those, so because they're not going to come knocking on your door. So we want to spend more time there. Okay, more time here, less time managing these things. So the way that we do that is planning and preparation, which we're going to talk about, but also, like, why would we do planning and preparation? Why would we eat well? Why would we go to the gym? Why would we go shop the way, that we're talking about doing? So if you're at the workshop, I talked about tapping into your strengths, right? And I think I told you self-control and regulation used to be pretty high on mine. Now it's not, but the ones that came out for me in this, and by the way, if you're at the workshop on the 20th, you have the link to this test, you can go take it. But like, bravery and valor was number one for me. You're a courageous person who doesn't shrink from threat, challenge, difficulty, or pain. You speak up for what is right, even if there's opposition. So for me, when I'm eating well, the reason I'm doing that is because I'm like, this is right. People are being lied to about what they're eating. They're being lied to about what makes them well. I'm going to do the thing that's right. I act on my convictions, right? That makes it easy for me. Same thing with industry, diligence, and perseverance. So, Tony, I know you had some different ones. So, give me one, because this is what I want everybody to understand. You don't have to have industry diligence and perseverance or self control and self regulation to tap into your strengths to eat well and to be healthy. You just need to
Yeah.
tap into what your strength however you were designed. You have certain strengths that I probably don't have. So, Tony, like, give me an example of one of your strengths and how you use it to keep you on track with your eating.
Sure, sure. We're also different, right? Like you said, you tap into whatever your strength is. So one of my top ones, top three, is judgment, critical thinking, and open-mindedness. So the way I view it is, if this was not a strength of mine, I would have never used this as a catalyst to allow myself, right, to hear, to consider, to accept anything outside of the way I thought. Right? We are all whatever chiseled into thinking a certain way over a lifetime. It's cultural, it's traditional, it's whatever it is. But if I didn't have that open-mindedness about me, I always want to learn. I always want to look at all sides. And that allowed me to heal myself. This allowed me to get into nutrition. This allowed me to help other people heal.
Right.
So that is definitely one of my top three.
And that's awesome. So like, and the point is everybody's different. There's 24 strengths on here. Everybody on this webinar, if you go take this test, you'll have a different top 5 than everybody else on there probably. So instead of saying, oh, I don't have self-control and regulation at the top of mine, I say, well, I do have this. I do have this. Let me figure out a way to make this work for me. And that's really important because your brain is what's going to stop you, right? So if I go, well, I don't have a lot of self-control. I really want to eat that donut. But then I got to look at this and go, wait, no. My top strength is I act on my convictions. I need to freaking act on my conviction here, right? And I do because that's my top strength. But Tony's different. Open-mindedness. She wants all the information. I don't necessarily have that strength. It's not even in my top 5. So why would I try to lean into that? Because I don't really have that in my top 5, but she does, right? So go and take that test if you haven't already. We sent it to you in the email. If you're at that workshop, we sent you an email with that link to your top 5. You could do the test to find your top 5 strengths. And I highly, highly recommend that. Okay. We did have a question I wanted to answer from Sonia. Hey, Sonia. So when it comes to yogurt, is the amount of protein more important than the sugar amount? It seems that coconut yogurts have more sugar than protein. So great question right there. So you take yogurt. So we're going to do the coconut milk yogurt instead because you don't want to do dairy, which is great for a lot of people if you have dairy issues. The problem is you take that coconut milk yogurt and what do they put in it? A ton of sugar, right? So you're going to have to find one that doesn't have a ton of sugar, right? Or not eat yogurt because especially, and we're going to go through this in a minute if Tony and I, we're going to show you like the test. If you're highly reactive to cow's milk, you don't want to be doing dairy, right? You don't want to be doing yogurt, but you could do the coconut milk yogurt, but not if it's super high in sugar. So generally speaking, Sonia, if they have higher protein, it will have less sugar in it. So coconut yogurt's okay, but you want to find one that has less sugar in it, right? And most of them will have a fair amount of protein. Tony, anything else on that?
Yep, I added on there that yogurt is tricky, and it's tricky because I have been so immersed in it because I'm looking for it for my grandson, and truly it's hard to find anything that's compliant in terms of what we're looking for. No sugar, right? So Kite Hill actually makes an unsweet almond yogurt, which is excellent. And at that
What's the
point,
name of it again?
it's Kite Hill.
Kite
Hill is a brand. They do so many different types of foods, but one of the foods they do sour cream. It's truly one of the most compliant brands out. It's really cool. They also have little individual yogurts that do have sugar. So I'm saying that they do make almond unsweet yogurt. It is good for everything.
That's awesome.
Smoothie, cooking. You can do anything with it. Just eat it. Put some monk fruit in it. Put some date syrup in it. It's true. And then whatever you want to do with it, treat it like a yogurt. So I did put that in the comments. Everybody should absolutely be aware of that Kite Hill exists, unsweet. Make sure it's the unsweet version.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm the worst person to ask about yogurt because I hate yogurt. So I'm like, I don't care. So it's good that you have some more.
Yeah,
I actually walked into the office today and Ashley was eating yogurt. I'm like, what does that smell? I thought something was like something was like rotten in the back. I'm like, oh, it's yogurt. It's your breakfast. Sorry. But that's great. That's why we do these webinars and that's why we do these things. And thanks for hopping on because you get to learn these little things and you get better and better and better and better over time. So that's really good. Thanks for the question, Sonia. If you have any more questions, you guys can just put those in the chat. Okay, I want to get into plan to fail. So you don't, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right? So planning is such a big thing when it comes to this. And so a couple of things that you can do, and Tony, if you want to chime in on this, this would be great. So pick a day and plan your meals for the week, especially if you have family and you're not on your own. Like I sit down with my wife on Sundays and I say, okay, what are we going to eat this week? What do we want to eat? And she'll ask me, I'm like, oh, why don't we do this? And she just asked me this week, do you want to make chili this week? It's my son's birthday and he likes my advanced plain chili. Yes, I do. So we plan those things in. But if we don't plan, then it ends up being, well, I can stop by Chick-fil-A and get Chick-fil-A, right? That's so easy to do. So you want to make sure you're planning these things because it's important to you, right? So if we go back to the Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants, I'm planning time here. What? Planning and opportunities. I'm considering the macro, which means I'm looking at this thing from a 30,000 feet rather than stuck in, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. What do I need to eat right now? And because we spend time doing this, we spend less time treating disease, which is an urgent thing, right? So that goes back to planning and preparation. So plan your meals for the week. We do those on Sunday. You can do it anytime that you want, but plan those things out. You can also plan your vacation meals in there or your rogue meals. Number 2, make enough for leftovers. This is a really big one for me. I don't put them in like Ziploc bags because there's, you know, phthalates from the plastic, not going to be good. So we have Pyrex dishes that we use all the time, and we make enough for leftovers for pretty much everything. There's nothing better to me than being like, okay, it's Sunday night. What am I going to eat this week? Oh, I made two good meals last week and I got them frozen in the freezer. All I got to do is take them out and put them in the fridge, and I'm ready to heat them up the next couple of days. So making enough for leftovers, we do that pretty much every time we make dinner, we make enough for leftovers. All right. Tony, if you want to chime in on any of this, let me know.
I would love to chime in.
Cool. So planning, so after this one, you probably have something to say on this too. So
Oh,
prep
yeah.
veggies, and like if you're gonna do like meat, you know, like I do, like I want to have like chicken or something on my salad. I will grill chicken breasts on Sunday, and we'll grill like 4 or 5 of them and have them ready to go. Because I know I'm not going to come home at lunch, grill a chicken breast, and then make a salad. I just know that's not going to happen. I'm also probably not going to come home and cut up all my vegetables for my salad. I want those done ahead of time. So I'll prep my veggies. I'll prep like, you know, peppers, carrots, you know, sprouts, any of those things that I put on my salad. Then I have my grilled chicken. It's already cut up in the fridge. Put it all together in a bowl, and then I put avocado oil and balsamic vinegar, and that's it. That's my salad, and I love it. Sometimes I'll put strawberries in there. Sometimes I'll put blueberries in there. You know, all of those things that are really good. So I have that ahead of time, so that a couple of days or 3 days a week, I'll make sure I eat that salad. So Tony, what do you have to say about that?
So prepping is critical, right, to eating healthy. And I used to, you know, be sympathetic with, like, people would be like, oh my gosh, I don't have time. I don't have time. That's always the excuse. So
Mhm.
this is literally, I just used this last weekend. I called one of the patients I'm working with because she doesn't have time to prep, right? So I called her and I said, hey, do you have time to just catch up? Sure. And while we're talking on video, I'm literally prepping my salad for the week.
Yep.
I mean, chopping up my greens. So we spent 20 minutes on the phone. So at the end, I was like, wait, couldn't you have done the same thing?
Absolutely.
And that was like, wow, that hit. So no,
Mhm.
there's no more excuses, right? When you're investing in your health, I take Sundays because that's when I do it. I work during the week and I need Sunday to do it. So I go to the grocery store like first thing, like 7 a.m. I'm there. Then I plan my meals and
Cool.
I chop all the veggies, like you said. I do my dry leafy green prep for the salads
Yep.
because after
Yep.
that it's easy to assemble a salad for the week.
Yep.
That is the
Yep.
most critical thing. You need a ginormous salad almost every day of the week, in addition to everything else you're eating. So yeah, prepping is huge.
And think about
Um,
the little thing that stops you. So you just said something huge there. You know what I hate doing?
uh,
Washing lettuce and then making a salad out of it. Because it's
uh-huh,
wet. There's water in the salad. I just don't like it, right? And
yeah,
that will stop me from making a salad. But I've already prepped the lettuce a couple of
uh-huh.
days before. Salad spinned it if we want to, you know, dry it or whatever, however you want to dry it.
That's it.
Then I'm good. So it's these little things that stop you that you got to make sure you're getting through.
But do you know the most amazing feeling is when you open your fridge and you're like, oh my God, my food is prepped. I just
Yeah,
have
it's
to
all
put
right
it
there.
there.
Yeah,
Then
absolutely.
there's no excuses at that point, right?
Yep. And I think you
So
said something huge is like you can either have excuses or you can have results. You can't have both.
it's
And
an investment.
you don't get to not work at this. Like everybody's on here. We're preaching to the choir. You're all on here on President's Day, right? We're preaching to the choir, but like you don't get to just not do anything difficult ever if you want to be healthy. It doesn't work that way. If you
No,
take the path of least resistance, that leads to the nursing home, not the cruise ship, right? So we gotta do some things that require a little bit of effort, but it also a whole lot of reward.
it's true.
Um, so know your store and what to buy where. That's a big for us. Like we can't buy everything at King Supers. Some things we do need to buy off like Amazon, which is on here, Amazon Auto Ship. Some things we need to buy from like natural grocers, but we don't know to go to natural grocers every time we need to eat because a lot of the food that we can buy at King Supers, which is a mile from our house rather than 8 miles or 7 miles or whatever. And it's cheaper, right, at King Super. So I don't have to buy everything, but there are certain things that I can't buy at King Super that I know I need to buy at another place. Okay. And then Amazon Auto Ship is a big one for us. I have Lily's chocolate on Amazon Auto Ship. Okay, so a typical advanced plan day. Then I want to talk about some how to take this to the next level. So the more I think I can give you this, the more you get an idea of how this works. Breakfast, I usually do a protein shake or smoothie. I use the Dream protein from the office. It's whey protein. The reason I use that is because it gives you a glutathione boost because whey protein has the amino acids that your body needs to make glutathione. So we'll make like the berry blast smoothie that's in your 30-day meal plan. I do that all the time. I'll do like banana almond butter, and then the protein in there as well. That's fantastic. On the weekends or change of pace, I'll do like cheesy eggs or like a frittata. So frittata for me, really easy. I'll saute up like, breakfast sausage or something like that, or chicken from the night before, a bunch of greens and vegetables, saute all that together, scramble up some eggs, put that on top of it, put it in the oven and bake that. And then you can have that for like 3 or 4 days after that. You can just cut it into like fourths, like pizza almost. For me, hard boiled, like snack in the morning. This is just an example. Hard boiled egg with like spicy mustard, or a half a cup of raw almonds. That'd be a good morning snack, or like a Granny Smith apple, or any fruit that you like is a good one. Lunch, again, leftovers from the night before is my go-to, or salad from what like Tony just talked about. But if I make the faux shepherd's pie with the mashed cauliflower, that's great leftover the next day. So I love that. The advanced plan chili, chicken salad from meal prep like we talked about. Afternoon snack, nut thins and hummus, or those siete tortilla chips and hummus. That's another really good one. You could do carrot sticks and hummus. You could do celery with hummus. You could do celery with almond butter. There's a lot of things that you can do there. And
Oh, and
then,
Mary's crackers are also a good addition
yeah,
to
Mary's
that.
on crackers are great. Yep. And then pick your favorite meal or recipe out of the meals that you prepared for the week. Like, so like you got to cook, you got to have something cooked, but use those things as leftovers. Okay. So what I want to get into for the last few minutes is something super important that I've had a lot of people ask me questions about recently. And that is like, how do I take care of my gut? So leaky gut. So one thing that I've learned recently that I want to make sure everybody understands, when you take antibiotics, we know that antibiotics are bad for you because they kill the bad bacteria, the thing that's making you sick, but it also kills all the good bacteria in your gut. And what we've been taught is like, hey, just take probiotics and you'll repopulate your gut with good bacteria. That's not the case at all, actually. I just sat through 4 hours of continuing education on this, and they did testing and found people taking probiotics after antibiotics. Only 3% of the probiotics that you take in that pill actually get to your gut. And then if you give it a week, they're gone. So it doesn't repopulate your gut. There's a lot of things you have to do to repopulate your gut. One of the things is what Tony talked about. You need lots of good fiber to repopulate your gut. You need prebiotics. So you can't just take probiotics as you have, or you can't take antibiotics if you have a sinus infection and think, I'll just take probiotics for a month. It doesn't work that way. Okay. You have to do this from eating a good diet and taking care of your gut. Okay. So some of you have issues with your gut. That's what we're going to talk about. So the reason the gastrointestinal tract is so important is because 70% of your immune system is found in the gut. So that's having the right probiotics, the right prebiotics, the right gut bacteria and gut flora. Gut flora also makes vitamins, enzymes, including serotonin, which makes you happy. So if you have a gut problem, it can cause depression and anxiety. Fatty acids that you need, all of those things. And you want to have good bacteria in your gut so the bad bacteria can't flourish. Okay. Now, what happens with the gut, and Tony deals with this all the time. We're going to talk about the test here in a minute. What happens in the gut is generally something called leaky gut. Okay. And in leaky gut, what happens there is you should have a barrier between what you eat, like inside the stomach here. This is inside your stomach, and then your blood stream. You should have a barrier there. So what you eat and the things from your food and the things from the environment shouldn't get into your bloodstream because they should have a barrier. And these are the cells inside of your stomach. And there's things that are called tight junctions, which means the junk, the toxins, like a lot of people have autoimmune responses to gluten, viruses, any of those things. You want those things to stay out of the bloodstream. But what happens is because you get this leaky and inflamed gut because of the things I'm going to talk about here in a minute. When you get these leaky cells, then all this stuff starts getting into your bloodstream. Okay. And what it's going to cause in the bloodstream is nutrient malabsorption. So you're not going to absorb the nutrients you need to. Autoimmune diseases. That's going to be fibromyalgia, lupus, MS, rheumatoid arthritis. Those are autoimmune disorders. Food intolerances, which means your body's reacting to a lot of different foods. And you're like, man, why do I have postnasal drip all the time? It actually breaches the blood-brain barrier, which means this stuff that should never get to your brain can now get to your brain, things like mercury and things like that. And then the other big one is systemic inflammation. So you're going to be inflamed over your entire body. Now, what kind of diseases would you have to worry about for if you have systemic inflammation? How about these three big ones? Heart disease, which is caused by inflammation, Alzheimer's disease, which is caused by inflammation of the brain, and cancer, which turns on genes that cause cancer. Inflammation causes genes to get activated that cause cancer. So the three biggest things that are killing us come from systemic inflammation. Okay. So what we want to look for is, how do I know if my gut is leaky? How do I know if my gut is not? How do I know if things are, how do I know if I'm eating things or putting things into my body that are causing this leaky gut? And that's why we have a saying, instead of guessing, you test, right? Test, don't guess. So this is a good example. This is my mom, Vivian, and she was responsible for some of those recipes in the in your 30-day meal plan. So I use this as an example because what happened to her, and what's happened to a lot of people that are on the call right now, is that you're being poisoned by the typical American food industry. And when I say you're being poisoned, I mean you're being poisoned. And I could say it even stronger: you're being poisoned by criminals, because these people are criminals. Like, if you want to look at people that are incredibly corrupt, look at Monsanto. They know that what glyphosate is doing to people. They know glyphosate's causing cancer, and they'll still spray it on all of your food. They're criminals. And then they'll pay the fine, and they'll tie it up in court forever. And these people that died of cancer end up getting pennies on the dollar. That's what happens. So my mom is a perfect example of this. So she, here in the United States, she had something called psoriatic arthritis, which is one of those autoimmune disorders. And she was taking something called Humira, which is about a $4,000 a month drug that she had to take to manage the symptoms, or else she would have massive, swelling in her body. She had brain fog all the time. She felt like she had the flu all the time. She was miserable. So she recently moved to Europe. So she moved to Portugal. I called her. Some of you guys have heard the story. I called her 6 months ago and I said, "Hey, how's the arthritis?" She's like, "I haven't had any flare-ups." I said, "Are you taking Humira?" She's like, "No, I can't afford it. I don't have insurance over here." I'm like, "Wait a minute. You had constant flare-ups here, even on the Humira. You haven't had any flare-ups over there, not on the Humira? What do you account that? Well, how do you account for that?" She said, "The food is different. The food, what they don't allow the crap in the food here that they allow in the United States. They don't allow that over there in Europe." So good example. And the reason I say feed the machine is this is the machine of sickness and disease. You eat the standard American diet, you get sick, and then what do most standard Americans do? Take pills. So you create the demand for people, and then you sell them drugs, and it just keeps going like this over and over, which is what was happening with my mom. Poison her with food, and then $4,000 a month for Humira, right? So this is the ingredient in Kraft macaroni and cheese. Now, I'm not telling you should go eat Kraft macaroni and cheese all the time, but what I am telling you, this is what's in the American version of Kraft macaroni and cheese versus this. Look at how many more. So sodium tripolyphosphate, which is a surfactant chemical, sodium phosphate, yellow number 5, yellow number 6. What do you not see over here? You don't see yellow number 5, yellow number 6. Where is the coloring coming from? Paprika, which is completely natural and normal, right? But in our food over here, they're poisoning us with stuff that they don't even allow in the food over there. So my mom found this out, and so we did some testing on her. I'm like, okay, I wonder what's actually been going on. So we tested her, and here's what we found. So it turns out that she had a severe reaction to a lot of these chemicals that were in the food in the United States. So we did the testing that Tony does, which is it's a hair test. So you don't have to do blood test or gut test. You actually your body can tell a lot through the hair, because that's a record of what's been in there. That's why they could do drug tests and things through hair. So when we looked at this, we looked at her additives. And so anything that's red is severe. So she had severe reactions to several of these. I don't have the key up because I don't have an hour to go through it with you, but she had a severe reaction to several additives and preservatives and sweeteners, and things like thickening agents or moisturizing agents that were in the food. And what were they doing? They were causing the arthritis that they called rheumatoid arthritis or psoriatic arthritis. It was actually a reaction to the junk that was in her food. So when she stopped eating that stuff, the disease went away because she stopped causing it. So rather than move to Portugal, you can just get the test and find out what's in your food. And then Tony can tell you, hey, here's what you're having an issue with. You want to watch that and make sure you're not putting that in your body, right? So she actually helps you with that. So when my mom stopped doing this, she stopped being sick. Here's a case study. So what the test actually looks for is it shows you your reactions to food additives. It looks at your gut biome, which we'll show you in a minute. It looks at food allergies or not food allergies, food reactivities. It looks at all of those things. It looks at nutrient density, ton of things there. And so let's do look at a case study. So somebody comes to see us. This is somebody who had poor sleep, joint pain, poor digestion. What does a person with poor sleep do in the typical medical model? They take Ambien. What do they do if they have joint pain? They go get surgery, they get cortisone shots, or they take Advil every day. They have poor digestion. They take what? They take acid reflux medication, something like that. They'll take something to move their bowels, right? They'll take Miralax or something like that. None of those are fixing the cause of the problem. So what we have to ask is like, what's causing those symptoms? This person also had a family history of heart attack and Alzheimer's disease. So when we look at this and we test instead of guessing, what this person had down here is all of the cereals and grains. This entire panel right here. Red is severe, green is okay, orange is like moderate reactivity. She had severe reactivity to it. Tony, what does that tell you if somebody's got severe reactivity to an entire section?
Yeah, we just need to drop it for a bit. And this is very typical in America because our
Yep.
grains are just not even real grains anymore.
That's right.
Europe is different. They do it better. We have different soil here. Food is not
Yeah,
the
we
same.
genetically modify everything too. It's completely different stuff.
So at this point, when I look at this, to me, I don't even pay attention to green. To me, these are whole categories and they become red, all of it. As a
Right.
category.
Yeah. And that's the thing to think about with this is like the reason it's red is because there's a leaky gut situation here. So how do we fix the leaky gut situation? We avoid these for a certain period of time, and then you can start adding some of those things back, the red dot foods, we call them. And what Tony does is you might look at that and go, how what the heck am I going to eat? What Tony does is takes
Oh,
and
there's plenty.
divines. Yeah. She actually designs a meal plan for you where you can say, okay, here's what you're going to eat, right? This is exactly what you do. And it's compliant to everything that's on here. Same thing with like dairy and egg. This person has moderate reactivity to all cheese and all dairy. What does that mean? Doesn't mean that doesn't mean they're lactose intolerant. Doesn't mean they can never have dairy again. What it means is there's a leaky gut situation that we need to deal with. So if there's a problem in your gut and you keep eating something like rye bread, or you keep eating brown rice because you think, okay, brown rice must be good for me, I'll eat brown rice. But it turns out that the brown rice, well, this person brown rice is okay, but garbanzo bean flour, perfect example. Dr. Eric said garbanzo bean flour is good. I'll eat these garbanzo bean tortillas, but this person's highly reactive to it, right? So if you're still having these type of symptoms like weird headaches, digestive issues, joint pain, brain fog, weight loss resistance, any of those things, you could test and find out what's causing it. Okay. Now, the next thing though, remember what's on here. So your mineral, it tests your mineral and other nutrients. Okay. So one thing that this person was deficient in is something called molybdenum. The reason that's super important is because molybdenum is a detoxifier that prevents Alzheimer's, right? This person has a family history of Alzheimer's and is deficient in a mineral that they need to prevent Alzheimer's. This person also has poor sleep and poor digestion. Well, they're deficient in magnesium. So they need to start eating foods that have more magnesium. Notice I didn't say they need to go take pills. They don't need to take supplements. They need to start eating foods that are rich in magnesium because that fixes the digestive issues and it fixes the sleep issues, right? Betaine is another thing that they're deficient in. They need to be supplementing with betaine to increase their digestion, right? So the whole cause of these problems are these nutrient deficiencies. And so it tests all of these, and these were actually in range, right? So all of these things were good. These things were out of range. We need to work on that. And then the last one here is it looked at the gut as well. This person was deficient in almost every normal gut bacteria. They only had one that they were normal in. So this person needs to be doing prebiotics, needs to be getting plenty of fiber, needs to be supplementing and eating the right things that are going to fix that imbalance. And when we do that, guess what happens? They sleep again. The joint pain goes away. They don't have digestive problems. They're not going to drop dead of a heart attack because they don't have magnesium. One of the biggest deficiencies that causes heart disease is magnesium. So they're not going to drop dead of a heart attack, and they're not going to get Alzheimer's disease because they don't have molybdenum. So again, it's test, not guess. So a perfect example of what happens when you do this. This is Joe. So I call this half a Joe because Joe's lost, I think, 40 pounds doing this. Looks like a completely different person now. So he said he first started the nutrition plan with Tony in 2023. At that time, unfortunately, had just lost his wife of 32 years unexpectedly. And that jarred him. And he said, you know what? I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids. I need to do some things different. And he said, you know, a 54-year-old dad and grandpa was overweight, lethargic, had type 2 diabetes. And I was determined to improve my health, reached out to myself and Tony. After going through the initial hair sample test, Tony designed a 5-week plan for him, right, to heal his body, and began thinking differently about food, changing habits. Long story short, he's off his metformin completely. He doesn't have type 2 diabetes anymore. He's lost almost 40 pounds and 6 inches in his waist size, feels completely different person, has more energy. He's added weight training and his regular walking because he actually feels good now. Said, I'm very thankful for the program. He's a different person. So if you feel like you're stuck and you want to do something different and you need some coaching, then that's what Tony is for. So with the customized nutrition program, starts with the sensitivity test. Normal cost of that is $99. We're doing that tonight for $89, so 10% savings. That gives you the consultation to highlight the most impactful results that Tony finds, and then she actually could put together a plan for you to move forward. Okay, so the testing, it starts with the testing. It's only $99. Normally, tonight it's $89. You could text Tony at this number right down here. She's on the call right now, so you can text her and just say yes, or say text me or I'm in, and then she will get a hold of you and schedule that. It's really simple. Does the hair clipping, and then you're good to go. Within a couple of weeks, the tests come back and you're ready to rock. We also have a new program for family and friends that are around the country. If they're not here in person, we can do a lot of this through Zoom as well. So if you have other friends and family that need this, you can have them text Tony as well. So if you're ready to do that, I think we only have 8 available. Is that right? No, 10 available tonight, Tony, where we can do the
We have
$89.
10 available to, yeah,
Okay.
to begin, yep,
Awesome.
in March, so yes.
Yep. And this texting you would be the best way to go, right?
Texting is the best way. Just let me know your name. You don't need to give me your phone number. Just text me, give me your name, and just say, call me, and I will reach out.
Yep, that's awesome. Good. So if we have any last questions before we wrap it up, otherwise you could text Tony if you're interested there. Otherwise, you can always ask us questions in the office. Take what you've learned from tonight and really start applying it. That's the main thing we want for everybody on here, is applying these things. So hopefully you learned something there. I also have the Winning in the Kitchen workshop coming up. It's completely free. That's coming up 1:30 this Saturday at Orange Theory Fitness Southlands, where we're going to be going through how to shop, how to read food labels more on a holistic basis. So if you have a friend that you want help with, or if you have a friend that you want to be a accountability partner, you bring them to that workshop as well. But if we don't have any other questions, I think we'll wrap it up and let you guys get to it. So thanks a lot for being on, Tony. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the work that you're doing to help people.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, awesome, guys. Have a
Bye.
great night.